People who have signed NDAs that have now expired or for whatever reason are no longer valid. What couldn't you tell us but now can? I was actually an actor in that commercial that said I wasn't. They aren't paid actors cause we're not paying them. I always hate that statement. These are real people, not actors. Every actor I know is a real person. The progressive parody of the Chevy commercials says real actors, not people if you look closely. If you don't look closely, it still says it, but you might not notice. I don't know, the people in those car commercials seem legit to me. I respond the same way. Wow. The Chevy Silverado, America's favorite full-sized pickup with advanced trailer tech, 6 advanced powertrains and 8 trim options, is also a recipient of 7 J.D. Power Associates Awards for 12 years in a row. I had no idea. I had no clue about that. $0 down, no interest for the first year. What? That's amazing. Edit, fine print, to qualifying customers. 730 credit score, $80,000 plus salary, 17 co-signers, 3 of which must be decreased relatives, must have at least 1 vehicle we can inspect to make sure you maintain it, and 1 soul. Sorry for another edit, but deceased. Darn, I only have 3 increased relatives. Sony got hacked over the North Korea movie because of a 5-year-old account they didn't delete or monitor from an ex-employee. My company forgot to remove my credentials to their investors' website when I left. Only like 5 people in the company had access to the site because it had people names, addresses, SSNs, credit scores, etc. over 400k people. Like 3 years later, I was working for a competitor that had the same client. I accidentally logged in with my old company's credentials and they worked. Someone really dropped the ball there. I had something similar. When I was fired from one company, they didn't deactivate my account for a vendor. When I started my next job, we used the same vendor. I went to log in and force of habit had me use my old credentials. Still worked. I hated my old company. Being wrongfully terminated will do that. But I was the bigger person and sent my old boss an email to say, hey, here's this problem. Never even got a thank you. Just nothing. It takes such little effort to be a good person. Your boss knew he ducked up, and even a simple thanks for letting me know would force him to admit that to you. His silence is a nice moral victory for you. Had to sign an NDA for a secure shipment that came into a building I ran security at. Shipment came in at 2 a.m. on marked transit van. 2 guys had to verify their biometrics and give me the correct password, then was required to deactivate the cameras on the floors along the travel routes they took inside the building and wipe the footage of them entering and leaving long play videotape. So easy to oops, tape got chewed. They unpacked a set of vases and trundled off to put them in a private vault. Don't know what the duck was in them, but I've seen less security for pallets of precious metal bullion. Thanks for the silver, anonymous dude. Also, I'm glad people enjoyed my little work story. 15 years in the industry, and this is one story that I'll always remember. I was a translator, contractor, for the US military. I also translated Marvel comic books. Marvel had tighter security. This does not surprise me. I've worked in aerospace on military contracts most of my professional career. The most restrictive NDA I've had to sign was for a candy bagging machine for a candy company. Corporate espionage TBH. Mini Cooper BMW replaced our car because the high-pressure fuel pump failed 6 times within 6 months. However, the recorded reason for the replacement of the car was because of stained interior from dirty mechanic hands, so it wasn't replaced via the Lemon Law. In 1990, I signed an NDA at Chili's when they showed me how to make their new Awesome Blossom. No other restaurant in town had anything like it, and it was hugely popular at the time. Let me guess. You cut up, batter, and deep fry an onion? Mostly it was how they cut the onion to make it open up like it does. Yeah, these days it is really easy, but at the time it was like their trademark for a bit. Didn't they copy Outback's Bloomin' Onion? Kraft Macaroni and Cheese are coming out with a more modern and upscale version to expand their market from lower income folks to higher income folks. It is almost entirely the same product as the 69 Blue Box, but will have a lighter, less orangey color. They will be sold as shells and not macaroni. The box will be shaped differently, and it will go for $2.50 or more. Stated to be released by 1995. Maybe I'm lower class. But I like it when it's more orange. I'm eating pasta and cheese from a box. I know I'm lower class. You'll never believe it, but Apple Computer is gonna open retail stores. That job sure seems like a promising young fellow. He's no Tim Apple. I worked for a native casino. The golf courses lost a ton of money for us, as did the advertising for the courses. Food we generally broke even on because of all the comps. If a crime was committed by a dealer, they would watch the dealer for 3 months to see if there were accomplices. They used facial recognition and would pair match you, so if the same person sat with the same dealer over and over, they would know. This way they could look for accomplices. Then when they busted you, they would sit you down and make you watch a video of you breaking the law. They did this because they wanted you to plead guilty as opposed to an expensive trial. Anyone in the golf industry could tell you the first part is absolutely true, even though the golf course increases the value of everything else nearby. Such a weird duality. I work at a company that does work for golf courses and other companies. The bill usually is $150, $1,000. 9 times out of 10, I have to hound the golf courses to pay. 19 times out of 20, all the other clients pay at least within 60 days. I signed an NDA to waitress at a local family-owned restaurant. The owner was nuts, definitely had a severe personality disorder, and was worried about his recipes getting leaked. The restaurant is dead now and his secret recipes consisted almost solely of frozen packaged food. Edit, guys. Stop trying to guess what restaurant it is. You never will. There are millions of family-owned places with crazy bosses that go under. You don't know the place and I'm not gonna tell you. Also, Mr. Krabs pays his employees enough to own houses and pets. I wish I worked for him. Amy's Baking Company who? Hey, don't come for ABC like that or cats will get you. Google doesn't hire direct support employees, they open small projects in the US, hire up to 250 contract employees of varying support positions for the project. Once they get the stats needed to run everything efficiently, they have mass layoffs and outsource their jobs to a country, Philippines, India, that's willing to accept much less than their US counterpart. At the same time, Google rakes in a huge tax cut because they're creating jobs in the local communities. Edit, yes, this includes YouTube and YouTube content review. My ex used to work for Google Fiber, which I think is Google Wi-Fi or something. In not sure BC it's unavailable in our region. He worked there for about a year and towards the end the layoffs began. They were all contracted employees who were outsourced from some outside company and were only signed on to Google if they were great. My ex was there 40 plus hours every week, made great reviews and didn't get his contract renewed. He convinced them to sign him into the outsource company again. After that, things started going downhill, the layoffs began and he would tell me about how so and so got fired today because their performance reviews weren't good enough. When we broke up, he still worked there but since then he quit and now works at a staple, so good for him I guess. It seemed like it was some great Google job that would get him places, but in the end it was basically an overhyped call center in which they would replace the people they had with people from other countries. We used to call layoff days D-days and would be surprised and happy to see anyone that made it. Some would migrate to another project if they were lucky, but the same conclusion was in store regardless. I signed an NDA once when I was an extra on Mortal Engines. If you watch the movie, you'll learn more than I did on set. I watched the movie. Understood nothing. So. That's right, kids, I was told to push buttons and pretend to die. As a person who watched that movie, I'm kinda jealous of the button pushing. You can keep the whole pretending to die bit though. Worked at a matchmaking company. It's all bullshit, it's just throwing darts at a wall until something sticks. Therese, no science or magic to it all. Edit, I didn't work for an internet matching company, so they may have a different process. What we did was get a paid client and set him up on dates. The dates we found were from a pool of women and we would just keep picking one after another. I quit because I felt like the women were just being used, and I became uncomfortable profiting off of people's hopes. They very much play up on finding your true love and it's a process. Blah blah. They'll very much play up the fairy tale romance. It did change me. I don't really date anymore because I don't trust the true intentions of people anymore. I became very jaded to dating after all of that. I thought you meant a company that makes literal matches and was confused. Figured that recipe would have been locked down long ago. Edit, thanks for the silver gold. I just picture a factory where a bunch of dudes are coming up with new, Creative ways to burn themselves lol.